My wife laughed while her boss humiliated me. And that was the moment I chose myself.
I never cared much about power, titles, or expensive rooms filled with people pretending to like each other. I cared about honesty, quiet evenings, and a life that felt real. My wife, however, believed success had a very specific look, and I didn't fit into it. Her boss was hosting a corporate reception at a luxury venue downtown. From the moment the invitation arrived, I knew I was an accessory in her plan, not a partner. She spent days preparing, rehearsing conversations, choosing outfits that screamed ambition. I put on a clean suit, nothing fancy, just enough to be respectful. Before we even left the house, she sighed when she saw me. Not angrily worse, disappointed, as if I had failed an unspoken test. The venue was everything I expected: polished floors, soft lighting, and people laughing a little too loudly. Her boss stood at the center of it all, soaking in attention like it was oxygen. When we were introduced, he looked me over with a slow, deliberate smile that carried judgment without words. Throughout the night, he made small comments. Harmless on the surface, but sharp underneath. Jokes about simple lives, remarks about how not everyone was cut out for ambition. Every time he spoke, my wife laughed just a second too long. Sometimes she even added her own comments, framing them as playful honesty. I felt myself shrinking, not because of him, but because of her. At one point, a small group formed around us. The conversation turned to career growth, leadership, and influence. Her boss looked straight at me and asked what I did, as if he already knew the answer wasn't impressive. When I replied calmly, he chuckled and said something about how someone has to enjoy the simple things. My wife smiled and said, "That's him. He's happy being comfortable." The word comfortable landed like an insult. Something shifted inside me then. I realized I wasn't just being mocked, I was being offered up, sacrificed for her image. I excused myself and stepped outside, hoping the cool air would calm the storm in my chest, but clarity came instead. I saw the pattern clearly for the first time: how often I had adjusted, stayed quiet, and swallowed my pride just to keep the peace. And how easily my dignity had been traded for her approval. When I went back inside, I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult anyone. I simply said goodbye. My wife followed me, furious. She accused me of embarrassing her, of ruining an important night. I listened quietly, then told her something I should have said years earlier: that I would never again allow myself to be disrespected for the sake of appearances. I left alone. The days after were tense. Silence filled the house like a heavy fog. When we finally talked, it wasn't explosive, it was honest. I told her how small I felt standing beside her while she laughed at my expense. How tired I was of being treated like a liability instead of a partner. She defended herself at first, said it was harmless. Sobbed I was too sensitive. But then I asked her one simple question: whether she respected me. The room went quiet. She didn't answer immediately. That pause told me everything. I didn't leave that night, but something fundamental had changed. I stopped apologizing for who I was. I stopped attending events where I was expected to disappear. I began reclaiming parts of myself I had neglected: my confidence, my boundaries, my voice. Over time, she noticed the difference. I wasn't angry. I wasn't distant. I was grounded. Eventually, she admitted what I had already understood. She had mistaken admiration for love and status for worth. She had feared that standing beside me would make her look smaller, without realizing she was the one shrinking our marriage. It took time to rebuild. Respect doesn't return instantly once it's broken, but it grows when it's consistently defended. Her boss stopped mattering. The social circles faded. What remained was a marriage forced to confront reality instead of performance. I didn't win that night at the party. I didn't humiliate anyone or deliver a clever comeback. I did something harder. I chose myself. And that decision changed everything, not because it made me powerful in someone else's eyes, but because it finally made me whole in my own. Thanks for listening. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more.